How we doing, Birdland? New York City? It's an absolute pleasure to be here and to see you here. This is our debut as a band here in Birdland, and I couldn't imagine a more legendary, beautiful club to be in, so I'm honored. Thank you for coming.
Well, welcome everybody. We have a most illustrious guest for you today on the JAZZmakers show, Grace Kelly, young prodigy, reasonable, alto sax player, already made 5 CDs, played at the White House for the inauguration. Opened this year at the Newport Jazz Festival.
Yes.
Has played with people like Wynton Marsalis. I mean, as a musician myself, I'm totally blown away. So, having you here, Grace, is just wonderful.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for
here.
coming.
You're very welcome.
Since you're a Doverite.
Mm-hmm. I am.
Well, it's particularly appropriate, I think, that you come. And I think we want to start right out with perhaps some favorite kind of video that you would think that you know is already in the can so we can bring it up here when we edit.
Oh, yeah.
Is there a time, a place where...
Well, there's a really special video that that is up and easy to find.
Yep.
And I had the pleasure of sitting in with one of my mentors and idols, Phil Woods, who's just in the jazz world, you know, saxophone Hall of Fame, you know, jazz master, played with everyone from Dizzy Gillespie to Quincy Jones's big band, Billy Joel. I mean, he did Paul Simon.
Billy Joel too.
He was in all. He was in certain. You know, he played the solo in Billy Joel's song, and then he also in Paul Simon's. But he mainly did a lot of incredible jazz stuff, and I had the chance to sit in with him at Pittsfield, Massachusetts. And one really special thing that happened is he wears his legendary black cap on his head.
Cap came from.
And after my solo, he took it off and he put it on my head. And after his solo, I tried to give it back to him, but he said, "No, it looks good, you should keep it." Wow. So I have that hat and I wear it on my gigs, and it's very special because he would wear that hat on all his album recordings covers.
Right.
He'd be filled with a hat, and it's very well worn if you look at that hat, so it's got a lot of history on it.
Those are the best, aren't they?
Yeah, definitely.
Well, and we'll give a listen to that now so you out there can appreciate Grace. You're going to enjoy this.
Anyway, our special guest artist plays alto saxophone. She's 14 years old. I'm going to break her fingers. Her name is Grace Kelly.
Well, wonderful. Really enjoyed that.
Thank you.
Thanks for picking that one. I love Phil Woods too.
Me too. And it was actually, that one was 4 years ago.
4 years ago.
Yeah. It was amazing. Time really
That's
went
2/3 of your career, as I calculated, because you started at 12, I believe.
Yeah, I started performing out live and made my first CD at 12. That's when, you know, the performing career started. So
wow.
It's amazing.
Well, now that brings up an interesting possibility here. Do you think on some video that's, so to speak, in the can that was done early on that you really like? Because that might be worth playing for people early on in the program so that they can see the growth that's taken place.
Yeah, actually there is a really great video of when I first started the saxophone, and it's, I think I might even been a little younger than 12.
Oh.
I was 10.
10?
Because that's when I started, and within 6 weeks of picking up the horn, I was playing songs like My Funny Valentine and Bésame Mucho, and I had just learned them by ear. So there's this great footage. I'm just in a recital. I can't even hold the horn, so I'm sitting on the case with a pillow like that. My teacher's playing piano, and we're playing, I think we play Sonny Rollins's St. Thomas.
Oh, so that was part of your musical upbringing, was to play along with records or tapes
that's
or
one of the,
CDs?
This is one of the biggest things that I've done and still do today.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, you think about it, it's like, well, you're not going to get any other band that's better than Miles Davis's, you know, quintet, so you just play along with them.
Yeah, yeah. Well, that's it. I'm a Louis Armstrong, Bobby Hackett type, and I still play those things.
Absolutely. They're just,
they're
timeless.
I love playing second with them, you know.
Yeah.
And I'm
really
sure you have some of the same kind of experience.
Definitely.
From my standpoint, I started this show around an idea, and that was the idea that I think I at least tried to transmit to Bob initially, hopefully to interest you, and we're delighted that it did work. But that idea basically is that everybody has talent.
Mm-hmm.
And in this world with the pressures, economically particularly, people somehow or other oftentimes don't seem to want to really dig down and discover what that talent is, and then develop it, and then use it, and then share it.
Yeah.
And it just seemed, I was at a show here in this building, one of the Dover Sherburne Foundation shows, and I looked at the back of the program, and here's all these people who were contributing, were helping. And so from that standpoint, I hope that during this discussion we can get some of your recollections of how you first, for example, to take, let's figure that we're going to look at the past, we're going to look at the present, and then we're going to look at the future.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And starting with the past then, you know, how you first came to realize that, you know, there was something unusual here that you really liked doing. And,
yeah. Well, I mean, we could talk about that now, and it was, I mean, I just feel really very blessed that I got to find music, and it kind of just fell into my lap in a way. But music to me is an incredibly important part of my life, of
Yeah.
society, you know. People
Yeah.
listen to songs and it brings them back to a certain time,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
it's just, it's a thing that we listen to music and we just get these feelings. Who knows, you know, there's no scientific proven reason
Yeah.
why you can dance to it, you can, you know,
yeah.
it brings out emotions. So I was just always listening to music. My mom was playing a lot of music around the house when I was very little, even before I was born. And I started out wanting to become a Broadway singer.
Oh.
Yeah, because I was very, I was listening to a lot of Broadway music. I went to see Broadway musicals ever since I was 2.
Oh.
And I would fall asleep watching them, but I just loved that. And at the same time, she was playing people like Frank Sinatra, and I was hearing these amazing American songbook
Yes.
repertoire.
Yeah.
And then she was also playing Stan Getz, who is my favorite saxophonist and made an incredible career, not only creating bossa nova with Antonio Carlos Jobim and Astrid Gilberto, but, you know, playing every type of straight-ahead jazz with Oscar Peterson, Dizzy Gillespie. He just did it all.
Yeah.
But more importantly, his sound was gorgeous, you know.
Yeah.
And that's the only sound of the saxophone that I knew.
Huh.
And I fell in love with his sound. It was just, oh, so beautiful. And then in school, in 4th grade, we get to pick an instrument. So I picked clarinet because I wanted to eventually play saxophone. And they wouldn't let you pick saxophone in 4th grade. I don't know why. You have to be promoted or something. Yeah, it's kind of interesting.
Yeah.
And clarinet was not good. You know, I sounded really horrible. It was squeaking, just very frustrating. And before that, I was playing classical piano at 6, and I just didn't like to practice the notes on the page.
Yeah.
Classical music I can appreciate it very much, and I do so even more now, but as far as practicing it, I was having a really hard time. And I would begin to practice, and then I would just make up my own songs. And my parents would walk in and go, hey, you know, it's not exactly the music on the sheet. But then they realized, well, maybe she's a little bit of out-of-the-box kind of kid. Seems like she likes to make up her own things. And I did. I was always making up stories and dances and entertaining myself for hours. So when I finally started the saxophone at 10, which I decided to pick up on my own, go to my private teacher, who was my piano teacher at that time, but he also played saxophone.
Was that the Dover fellow, James?
No, actually, his
Miranda?
Yeah, he lives in Jamaica Plain.
Yeah.
Because I've only located to Dover like 2 summers ago.
Yeah.
But most of my childhood was in Brookline, Massachusetts.
Right.
So he was there, and an incredibly fun, amazing teacher.
Yeah.
Made me want to play. The first lesson I had, I took out the horn and I played a note, and it just worked. You know, it's beautiful sound. It was easy. It's totally different than anything else I had tried.
Yeah.
And I fell in love with it from there, and then started trying to figure out the songs. And I knew the songs because I'd heard Frank Sinatra singing them. I could sing along to them.
Yeah,
so I just had to figure out where they were on the keys. You know what I mean? And within 6 weeks, like I said, I was playing these standards. And then how it became that I recorded my first CD, I had a middle school music teacher, Ken Berman, who is he's a great jazz pianist.
Huh.
But he moved to New York to pursue his own career before I graduated my middle school. So when he came back to my house when I was, 12, he came for dinner. We were seeing how he was doing. And I played him some of my songs. I had some vocal songs.
Well, that's right, you are a composer, too.
I'm a composer,
as well as
singer,
a musician.
arranger, and saxophonist.
Yeah.
So I keep myself busy. And I played him these songs for him, and I sang them for him, and then I played a little bit. And he said, wow, Grace, these are just amazing. You need to record these songs. You got to document it. And I thought, Mr. Berman, I'm 12. Recording is for old people. I didn't even think I could do that, Right. But he said, no, there's this great studio in Westwood, and I'll play on your CD, and then you got to call the best bass player in town, John Lockwood. And so my dad called all these people, and we went in. And at first, we were just going to do a demo, do like 3 of my songs, but
Right.
it turned into a whole project. So we had a whole CD, and from there we did my first CD release concert. And then more and more people started, you know, inviting me to sit in, and I would play with somebody who knew somebody else who said, come on down. And then the next year, yeah, that's the first one. It's called Dreaming.
This is the first one.
I was 12 when I did that. And I was playing some standards as well, like Blue Skies, and there's a bunch of Stardust, a bunch of stuff on there along with mine. And then I started doing the CD every summer because I was writing more and more songs.
Yeah.
So now I have 5 CDs, and I'm coming out with my 6th with Phil Woods. It's the 2 of us in the fall. Yeah, wow. And you know, so I started playing more and more, and then all of a sudden it was like it just flew by. But you know, getting to play with people like Winston Marsalis and Dave Brubeck and Harry Connick Jr. and Diane Reeves, these people who are my idols.
Yes.
And then you know, a thrill recently was my band opened up the Newport Jazz Festival, which is like the legendary jazz festival. So somehow that all happened.
I'm gonna tell you why I feel fine. Cause there's a lady who's gonna come and join me up here. And you've already heard from her. She's an amazing young alto saxophonist by the name of Grace Kelly. Can I hear you sing it? Grace Kelly! She's gonna come on, ladies and gentlemen, give Grace Kelly a huge round of applause. Don't feel fine, but I feel fine. I feel fine, I feel fine, and I feel fine, and I feel fine, and I feel fine, and I feel fine. Do you want to hear Grace Kelly play some saxophone? Oh my God, you've already got it. Tell me how I feel, Grace. you feel one more time, Grace? Cause I feel ladies and gentlemen.
And boy, here is just a beautiful, beautiful example. And you mentioned singing and what all, and I think back to what you said about the Broadway shows and all that you saw. That's perhaps where some of that came from.
That's where I started, and I was doing a lot of acting when even from very, very early kindergarten or whatever. And then that's when I heard later people like Ella Fitzgerald, Sarah Vaughan, and Frank Sinatra. And going along with the horn, I was just always naturally singing the songs, and so it became that I started writing songs. I was singing with them, and then sometimes I would write the songs and transfer it to the horn. But I think one of the things that makes me pretty unique in what I do, I mean, there's a lot of saxophonists out there in the jazz world, and there's a lot of singers out there. Goodness knows that. And there's a lot of people who compose and arrange and do that. So I take a little bit of all of those pieces, and to me that's what makes it unique. And also the fact that the music I listen to is a very eclectic mix. And if you were looking through my playlist, some people would be like, this is very strange, because it's not just jazz and it's not just these masters, which is a big portion of my music, but I'm also huge fans of Stevie Wonder and the Beatles, Paul McCartney, you know, James Taylor, Sting. And Brazilian music is one of the reasons why I started. So my music is a pretty eclectic mix of all of this.
Well, and I think just jumping a little ahead to part of the future that's part of your interest is broadening your awareness of and your familiarity and your use, really, of other genres of music.
And I think that in today's world, everybody, whether it's food, it's music, some type of art, is fusing things together to create a new sound. Because I think about what the masters, Charlie Parker, when they came out with bebop and all this stuff, it was always a new thing. Yeah. And that's what, you know, people like Phil and another one of my mentors, Lee Conants, who studied with Lenny Tristano and was part of this whole Tristano school. Yeah. And one of my really big mentors from early on, from 13, and then I recorded this CD with him gracefully, just
Let's see which one this is. Yes.
It's this one.
This one. Okay.
And this is the CD that got named in Downbeat as one of the best CDs of the decade, with 4.5 stars.
This is the one.
That's the one.
That's the one.
It's a very, very special recording to me because everything is completely one take. It's live. Yeah. We wrote a song together over the fax machine called Gracefully. And it's just it captures all these beautiful moments that to me is jazz. Wow. You know, it's about improvisation, and you couldn't find a musician who's more about improvisation than Lee. He's a champion of spontaneity, of improvisation, and I learned so much from him about just that. And it's something that I continue to do in my music and practicing, always have spontaneity. You know, that's what creates the magical moments in the music, to me.
Oh, well, thanks for sharing that with us. And now, I want to just mention at this point, for those of you who would like to hear some more and see some more of Grace, GraceKellyMusic.com on the web will get you to a very fine experience. The sound quality is just great. The work that's been done on that site is first class in my book. And Grace also does a blog. As she says, she's getting ready to do the next chapter now. But you can look at that too there at GraceKellyMusic.com. And so now we're going to just put a little of your music out there for people, and then we'll come back. And
we want to bring out the fifth member of our quintet. He's an incredible trumpet player, and his name is Jason Palmer. Jason Palmer on trumpet. Composition of mine. This one is entitled Happy Theme Song, and I wrote it because I was happy. Here. One, two,
Well, we're back with Grace Kelly and her wonderful music. And maybe now's the time to say, I know you've got your sax here.
Yeah.
And spur of the moment, right?
Spur of the moment.
Improv.
Best.
So maybe you'd like to get it out and show us how you warm up and then play a little part of a solo. If
Sure, sounds good.
Oh, yeah, that's great. Thank you very much. I think it was April in Paris?
As I Love You.
Oh, As I Love You, okay. With regard to the other musical expressions that you use, singing, writing, and arranging, I was interested in one of the mentions of your blog that you found that procrastination could be really helpful to you. And even when you get angry, to get past what we call writer's block, I mean, that's what you call it.
Yep.
But I think anybody out there thinking of their own passions and their own talents and their own interests can translate what Grace is going to say now.
Yeah, well, I think that to me, deadlines are really, like, I have a love-hate relationship with them because they get things done. And at the same time, nobody really likes deadlines. But I do, and procrastination to me, I'm good at it, but at the same time that I'm not, well, that I think I'm procrastinating, I always have the ideas in my head. So sometimes it might take me 2 weeks to actually sit down and write the thing out, but I've been thinking about it. So I have it, which is really important that it's already formed. Yeah.
Well, now, that was another thing that I noticed about a tip on composition, rather, and that was that you were able to combine bits and pieces of things that you'd done before in a present circumstance, which again I think is something that people can take and translate in their own venue.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think that there's so many little pieces that I compose, and then I listen back and I don't realize that you had all these ideas right here.
Yeah.
So sometimes they just form perfectly together. Yeah. After all, it's the same person who's writing them, so that's not a problem. And sometimes I'm stuck and I have to go back and listen to other things, and then I get the idea. Or I just take a piece and put it, you know, attach it to another piece, and it works out.
Now, I know that you're starting your third year at Berklee School of Music in another week from now, and that the teachers there have been very helpful, and at least one has been very helpful along this line of hooking up. In other words, your concept, as I read it, was that you had to compose something right from start to finish, to do the whole thing at one sitting kind of thing. Whereas they suggested, you know, using these bits and pieces, which gets me to wondering to what extent and how you perhaps use technology in this context.
Yeah, well, actually, it's pretty amazing what the technology is out there right now,
Yeah.
and it's a huge tool for me because, you know, I have my MacBook and
MashBook?
a MacBook Pro, you know, Macintosh.
Oh, Mac. Oh,
Yeah.
okay. No,
Yeah.
that's good. I'm a Macker too. I should
Exactly.
have heard that one.
Yeah, and when we all enter Berkeley, they give us these, we get these computers and they're loaded with all these programs, music tools, which is what we learned throughout the school. And something as simple as programming in, I have my MIDI keyboard.
Yeah.
I can hook it up right to the computer, hit the sample sounds, play a backing track. That way I can actually hear it, which is amazing. I mean, and then, you know, I can send that to somebody or say, this is an idea I have. And a lot of times I'm writing on Sibelius, which is a musical notation program that I endorse, but it's also fantastic. And you can hear it, you write in all the parts for all the instruments. And
Oh,
then
that's right.
I get ideas for other things. So we were actually going to talk about when I performed with the Boston Pops, which was 4 years ago. I was 14.
Was it really 4 years ago now?
Yeah.
So you were only 14.
I was 14, and it was an incredible opportunity.
Yeah.
Keith Lockhart had somehow heard about me. I don't know how, but I guess one day my teacher called me up and said, "Did you just hear Keith Lockhart talk about you on the radio?" I said, "No," and he said, "Yeah, he just said that he's been hearing about this young prodigy saxophonist and he really wants to work with her, and her name is Grace Kelly," and he's like, "He just talked about you." I didn't know, and a little bit later I got contacted by the Pops manager who said, "We would love you to open with the Boston Pops for Grammy Award winner, amazing singer Diane Reeves."
Oh, sure.
And
what an
so
honor.
we did, and we ended up, I played Don Sebesky's beautiful arrangement of The Nearness of You with the orchestra.
Beautiful too.
And then Keith said to me, I want to feature one of your compositions as a composer. So we can break it down into, 5 people, and you can play the song. And for some reason, I don't know why I said it, but I just said to him, "Well, do you think we could do it with the whole orchestra? And do you think I could write for the whole orchestra?"
Oh, boy.
And he looked at me like really strangely, because I had never written for violins before, for cellos, and there I was asking him to write for the entire orchestra, tubas, trombones, and everything.
Wow.
And he said, "Well, you can try, but it is the Boston Pops, and it has to be perfect. You do know that." I said, "Yeah," and he's like, "But if you want to try to write some stuff out, and our in-house arranger can look at it, and we'll see,
Yeah.
So for the next month, all I did was write, and I was with my composition teacher, and I learned all about the ranges of the violas and the cellos and the tubas and trombones.
Boy, that was a fast learning course.
It was. I mean, it was crazy. It was actually
There's
crazy.
your deadline again.
It was the deadline, and amazingly enough, Keith said their in-house arranger could help me, but he had last-minute family problems. So
Nothing just happens, Grace.
Right. So I didn't get any help from him.
Oh, boy.
And which I was expecting that I would, but it was even better because I had to learn it all. And after that month, I had my 40-page score.
40 pages.
And I gave it to Keith, and he looked at it and he said, "Yep, looks good. Let's do it." So we did it. And there's some things I would have changed now, but it sounded pretty good at the time. And
well, I don't know whether we got anything in the can on that. And,
unfortunately, we couldn't record that.
Oh, that's right.
Because they have really big
the Pops,
the Pops and everything. But
we'll
pictures.
have a little musical interlude at this point, I think, because that's a great story, though.
It was and standing up there with the orchestra and having, to me, the best orchestra in the world.
Yeah.
Playing my song in the middle of it, it felt like, being on a cloud. The sounds were just unbelievable. I had the best seat in the house, right there.
Well, I think you're probably transmitting to our audience the tremendous awe that you have for life and for new things. I know, you know, in your blog you talk about being open to possibilities, and that's such an important part of, I think, of anybody doing their passion, you know. So we're going to be back in a minute or two, people.
This is Searching for Peace, and thank you to Cafe 939 for having us.
Well, welcome back with Grace Kelly and Stuart Baird here with the JAZZmakers show. We've talked about a number of things, but one thing I wanted to mention, I was really impressed in looking at your blog, and you have an ability, I think, to communicate not only musically, but also in writing your view as a very young talent of the world, really.
Yeah.
Of other people and...
Yeah, well, it's been amazing to me to be able to travel the world and be playing my music. It's, you know, I've always said that when I got my passport originally, it's like, what am I going to need this for? It seems like such a, you know, I had like one stamp on it, and now it's one of the most important items of my life.
Yeah.
Without that, you can't go overseas, and it's really been amazing. I'm like flipping through the pages, and there's all these stamps, and getting to go to, you know, to Paris and all these different parts of Germany and Portugal, and you know.
You just came back from Poland, I know.
Poland,
in the Netherlands, was it?
We did Portugal, Denmark, Germany, and Poland.
Wow.
It was a stretch, but it was a 5-week tour. We started in the U.S., went to Canada, played the Montreal Jazz Festival, did that stretch of Europe, and then we played the Newport Jazz Fest. But you know, as far as the way I look at it, it's everything is a really exciting thing, and I like to always just bring in that element of positivity and just keep everything, keep it exciting. And there's, I think that a lot of times, no offense to people as they get older, but sometimes it's like people lose a little bit of that, you know what I mean? And
yes, I do.
I'm really, when I'm around people that just give out this beautiful energy and happiness, and a lot of musicians are like that. It's just, they love what they do. They're passionate about what they do. And I think if people can find that in their life, they become a happier person. So I'm lucky that I really do like what I do.
Yeah, well, and you really do project it wonderfully. So let's give a listen now to another of Grace's fine music. And maybe this time it would be interesting, you have, as an arranger and as a band leader, different bands that you have, you know, developed, that you played with and what. Also, maybe you'd like to make a identification of something that you know exists out there.
Well, the clip that we can show now is one of my compositions called Philosophical Flying Fish, and this features my Grace Kelly Quintet. So it's my band made up of the 5 of us. It's piano, bass, drums, trumpet, and I play saxophone, saxes, and sing. And it's a very jazz setting, an incredible band.
Now, is that one of
it's
part of it?
On Mood Changes. This is basically
Okay.
And that's the touring band. The song we're playing right now is from that CD.
I know, they're doing good. These are my new buddies. I got a chance to work in the high school with them, Skylight Jazz Orchestra, and they are fantastic, as you know. I came out last night. I was there, sitting right over there. You guys rocked the house. All right. So it's a pleasure to be here. This is my first time in Georgia and my first time playing with these guys. Mine is Brendan. We're buddies. That first song was a great standard called I'll Remember April. The second song is a composition of mine from my 3rd CD, I'll Remember April. It's called Philosophical Flying Fish.
All right.
but I am in other projects. I went to Italy for 10 days with this amazing drummer, Francisco Mela, and that was a different project. And then for the future, I'm cooking up some new things with some just a different project.
Well, maybe it's time to talk a little bit about what you envision now, because I know your dream is to go past what could be described as confines, to some extent, of songbook, you know, the Great American Songbook jazz.
Yeah, it's, I get really excited at this idea because to me, especially being a younger person, jazz is like studying the traditional art form and something that is like so valuable, because studying that as any type of musician, you're going to get all the tools to create whatever one would want. And my future goal and something that I want to create is a bridge between this beautiful music that's so improvised and spontaneous jazz, and something that can also connect to people of my generation, and songs that people can sing along to.
Oh, great, yes,
So bridge some way between jazz and contemporary music, but at the same time always keeping melody and those perfect elements.
Wow. Oh, well, that's a great objective, and I applaud you for that, because it has seemed to me as, you know, pretty much a traditional jazz player. I mean, I love the ballads too, but
yeah, oh, me too.
That, you know, that it's a shame not to have more young people coming along who really can pick up the magic of that, because there's only selected people. Now, you mentioned some of them who do have that kind of capability. I think Billy Joel, for example, is an example.
Yeah, and the thing is that to me, a lot of people, friends my age, and they just aren't exposed to jazz. So if they can find a type of artist that's like, oh wow, I like that, then people will start to trace it back, and then eventually find Miles Davis and Charlie Parker and Louis Armstrong. But they need some type of contemporary thing, artist or someone to hook on to first. And I did that a lot when I was, you know, when I was first starting to listen to jazz. I was listening to a lot of like Diana Krall. And,
oh, great singer.
Yeah, and more people who are of today, and then I found out all people who are masters of music.
Yeah. Tony Bennett's one that seems to have somehow or other bridged it.
Very much so.
I think his son helped him a lot.
Oh, yeah, he definitely
there
did.
Was getting to the younger generation.
Ah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And so there's a few people today who are doing it.
Yeah. Well, we have a great opportunity here, and we've talked about a lot of things, and I'd just like to give you the opportunity here before we sign off on the interview to talk about or ask anything that you might feel that you'd like to.
Well, I think that you were talking about one of the big things that you do is finding people's passions and then bringing that out, which I admire very much. That's incredible that you do that and you help people find that. And to me, that's one of the biggest messages that we can go out on. The fact that, you know, I've been very blessed and lucky to find something I don't consider a job because I love to do it so much. Who would think that traveling the world and playing music and making a career out of that is a job? And so I really applaud that you help people find what they love to do, and just for everybody who's out there to keep this really like youthful, excited light that we can do anything. If there is a passion, you can make it a job.
Exactly.
Anything.
Exactly. Well, that's very nice of you to say, and that of course fits right in with what I said earlier about the JAZZmakers show, the purpose of it. And while we've shown a lot of music in the past and haven't done too much talking, I think this time it's been very rewarding to have this opportunity to talk as much with someone like yourself, who has done just an outstanding job as a young person, and obviously is looking forward to giving back to carrying that forward with others. And I admire you very much for that, Grace.
Thank you.
Thanks ever so much. And
you're very
we're
welcome.
going to close with some music. So if there's a favorite that we have missed so far, by all means, speak up on it now.
I don't know. Well, we could find something. I don't know
Yeah,
exactly what
I'm sure you will. Well, thanks again very much, and all the best of luck to you in your career, and we're delighted to have you here in Dover.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you.
Are you a fool who thinks I don't know what has happened? Just look around, it seems that we already know. Your smile so sad, it seemed to leave me much too early. But now it's gone, I see it too. It seems you're on to something new. Why is it you cannot accept what is given? You just hang on to more regrets and lies too long. It's come, it's gone, there's always more, but why reveal it? It's just too long. Someday we'll see that life is twists and turns for a reason. But another time, another night, another song. Another song, but life goes on. Why is it you cannot accept what is given? You just hang on to more regrets and lies too long. Ooh, it's gone, there's always more, but why reveal it? It's just too long. Someday we'll see that life is twists and turns for a reason. But another time, another night, another song. Ooh. but life goes on, and on and on and on. Life goes on, but life goes on.